Today's discussion is a continuation of the demand curve. We're going to cover the things that causes for the demand curve to shift. I'm going to first just present the list, and then we're going to go through specific examples for each of them to explain. So we have taste and preferences, income and its distribution, we've got prices of related goods, we've got number and age of buyers, we've got expectations about future prices, income, and availability. And we have government taxes, subsidies, and regulations. Okay, so these are the things that cause the demand curve to shift. Taste and preferences, income and its distribution, prices of related goods, number and age of buyers, expectations about future prices, income and availability, and government taxes and regulations. Okay, so we're going to first cover taste and preferences. With taste and preferences, let's use this as the example. Let's say it is oranges, here's our demand of oranges, and let's say that the Surgeon General reports that eating oranges, 2 oranges a day, decrease your chances of cancer 50%. Okay? I'm just making this up, so don't run out and buy oranges yet. And if the decrease in cancer isn't enough, well, maybe it'll make you stronger, prettier, your hair shinier, your complexion smoother, make you more attractive to whomever you'd like to be attractive to. It'll help you lose weight. Maybe it'll help you gain weight if that's your goal. Whatever it is, oranges are going to solve all your problems. And if that's the case, then what do you want to do? You want to buy more oranges. So if we have a medical study reporting health advantages of eating oranges, well, we're all going to buy more oranges. We're going to increase our demand. And keep in mind, this increase in demand, if the price of oranges were 75 cents a pound, for example, I don't know what they sell for, but let's just say that was it. Realize the price has stayed the same. At the same price, we are now willing to buy a larger quantity. That's what we mean by an increase in the demand. The price of the orange has stayed the same, but the quantity has gone up. Now, just to remind you from the previous video, remember if the price of this, in this case the orange, changed, you had a movement along the curve. Okay, but here prices are staying constant at 75 cents. We have an increase in demand, which is a shift to the right, because now more people want to eat oranges just because they've been labeled as healthier for you. So we buy more no matter what the existing price is. Another example with taste and preferences. You know, if you watch television and they have the Hummer commercials. And Okay, so we have our demand for Hummers, and let's say a Hummer is $55,000. You know, it's a hunk of change. Well, you see all these ads on television. Well, realize these ads on television, everybody in them are attractive, young, active, have lots of friends, popular. Okay? And it's easy to make that, hey, if I had a Hummer, I could be like those people. Or at least I'd have the image that I'm like that, whatever those people are portraying. And so realize advertisements. Advertisements try to change our taste and preferences. A successful advertisement will increase the demand for that product. And just tonight, go home, any type of car commercial. You know, they're going fast, they're going through the curvy roads, beautiful landscapes, curvy mountainous roads, relaxing, you're in control. They're attractive, they have lots of friends, they get to do all the cool stuff, they go to the cool places. And again, that's marketing. And what they're trying to do is, without changing the price, if the price is still $55,000, they want us to want to buy more at that price. And they do that by swaying our taste and preferences. Okay, so that is an excellent example. And those of you that are marketing majors, that's the #1 thing that you're going to use from this course over and over. Marketing is all about increasing the demand for a product. And the way you're doing it is by changing our taste and preferences. Next we have income and its distribution. Okay, let's talk about, well, let's just use the Hummer again. That seems popular. Think about the Hummer in the late 90s, now in the 2000s. What's been happening? Well, for most of that time, except for a very short period in 2001, 2002, we have been in what is called an expansion phase of the business cycle, which we're going to talk more about. But during the 1990s, and since 2002, you know, we've been having good times economically. And good times economically mean that people are earning more money. More people have a job, more people are getting pay raises, more people are transferring to other jobs that pay more than their previous. Things are good. Okay, so as people have more income, guess what they do? They increase their demand for stuff like Hummers. Okay, so an increase in demand can come about by an increase in income. Now, there is a problem with this. We can't say that this is definitely so. Let me do another example related to income. Okay, here the example that I'm going to do is related to one of our favorite foods, especially as college students, Ramen Noodles. Or sometimes these are called noodles in a cup. Yeah, this is the styrofoam cup that you can buy, and you add some water, microwave it, and you eat it. And it's a meal in a cup. Ramen Noodles. Now, if you have an increase in income, let's say that you graduate from college, you're now making $50,000 a year. Are you going to keep buying or eating Ramen Noodles? As much as you may think you like them, statistics show that your demand of Ramen Noodles is going to go down, even though your income has gone up. And we're going to show this like this. That's a decrease in the demand. So realize these two slides conflict with each other. In one case we had an increase in income and the demand for Hummers went up. Now we've got an increase in income but the demand for Ramen Noodles goes down. So what's the difference between a Hummer and Ramen Noodles? Well, it may be obvious. The difference is Ramen Noodles is an inferior good. And that's our economical term. But it's probably pretty appropriate. And I said inferior food. It's an inferior good. It's an inferior good. And so if your income goes up, your demand for inferior goods will go down. Another example would be, say, macaroni and cheese. As your income goes up, you eat less macaroni and cheese just because you substitute for things that are better, like fettuccine. Okay, or in the case of ramen noodles, something more gourmet. Okay, you could also think about hamburgers versus steak. As your income goes up, you're going to eat more steak, and less hamburgers. Okay? So that's an example, inferior goods. Now, going back to the Hummer, if we talk about an increase in income, and therefore an increase in the demand, well, it's the demand of the Hummer, and the Hummer is referred to as a normal good as opposed to an inferior good. Now realize most goods are normal. Okay? If we're going to talk about an inferior good, for example, on the test, we're going to try to tell you specifically this is an inferior good, or it will be obvious. You know, ramen noodles, you know, that has 110% of your sodium intake for the day and about half the calories that's allowed for the day. Okay, that's what we're talking about. We're trying to make it obvious that it is an inferior good. You know, a Hummer is a normal good. You know, you can think of cars, especially small compact cars, you can think of those as inferior goods. As your income goes up, your demand for a small compact car goes down. Why? Because it's an inferior good as compared to, say, a Hummer. Okay, the next one, prices of related goods. Okay, this one has two categories. One is substitutes, and the other is complements. Okay, things that are substitutes are, for example, hamburger and chicken. You know, I don't care which one I have for dinner tonight. They cost about the same. I'm going to have one or the other, whichever one happens to be in my refrigerator. And even more common, Coke versus Pepsi. I go down to the vending machine. I don't care what I get. Just give me a dark carbonated drink. I don't care if it's Coke or Pepsi. Substitutes. The classic example is the red pencil versus a blue pencil. You go to the bookstore to buy a pencil to take your test. You know, you don't care what color it is. You're going to look at the price. Okay, so if the red pencil's $1 and the blue pencil is 50 cents, you're going to buy the blue pencil. Okay, they're substitutes. You don't care. Or if they're both $1, you're not even going to pay attention to the color because it just doesn't matter. Now realize in the case of Coke and Pepsi, it's quite possible that you have a definite opinion on which you prefer, in which case they're not substitutes. If you will only drink Coca-Cola, Coke, then this isn't a substitute for you. Okay, but in my world, these are substitutes. Complements are things that go together. So for example, if I eat an Oreo cookie, I have to have milk. If I do not have milk, I will not eat the cookie. Okay, those are complements, things that go together. Another example is ham and cheese. If I'm going to eat a ham sandwich, I want cheese on there with it. Or the classic peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter and jelly. Or in the case with me, coffee and cream. If they don't have real cream or at least milk to go with it, I will not drink a cup of coffee. Okay, things that have to go together. Okay, so let's do substitutes first. Okay, so in order to do this, we need to have two graphs. And let's just do Coke and Pepsi. And we're going to start with the demand of each, so we have to get everything labeled. Okay? Let's say that there is an increase in the price of Coke. Well, in the world of Coke, that means that maybe it's going to go from 50 cents up to 75 cents. And we go from buying, say, 10 to 5. So if there's an increase in the price of Coke, there's going to be a decrease in the quantity demanded of Coke. In the world of Coke, we've got a movement along the curve. Okay? Now, in the world of Pepsi, though, the price of Pepsi is staying the same. Let's just say it was 50 cents, it's still 50 cents. Now, whenever the price of Coke goes up, we buy less Coke. Well, does that mean we're buying less soda? No. What we're going to do is substitute over to Pepsi. And so our demand for Pepsi goes up. Our demand for Pepsi goes up. So it's still 50 cents. We used to buy 10. Hey, now we're willing to buy, say, 15. So as there's an increase in the price of Coke, that causes an increase in the demand for Pepsi. And this is a shift of the curve. Okay, so that is our example for substitutes. Okay, and that's part of the related goods, prices of related goods. So in the world of Pepsi, the price of the related good Coke has changed, and therefore consumers react through their demand. Okay, the next one is complements. Okay, let's do this. Let's have milk and Oreos. I hope you're not hungry. Get everything labeled so we know what we're graphing. That's always the safest. Okay, let's say that due to mad cow disease, we get worried about the safety of our milk. The price of milk goes up. So let's say if we want numbers, we could do that. Let's say it goes from $3 a gallon to $7 a gallon. Now I would notice $7 a gallon. Now, so at $7 a gallon, I buy less milk. So there's an increase in the price of milk, and this causes a decrease in the quantity demanded of milk. Okay, a decrease in the quantity demanded of milk. Now, if I have less milk, what am I going to do? Well, my demand for Oreos is going to go down because I don't have as much milk, and so therefore I can't eat as many Oreos. And so my demand for Oreos. Oreos are still maybe $3 a package, but I'm going to buy less. And so an increase in the price of milk leads to a decrease in the demand of Oreos. Because I have less milk, I buy less Oreos. Okay, and that's the example for a complement. And again, you know, this is a movement along the curve. It is a change in the quantity demanded. This one over here is a shift of the curve. And it is a change in the demand. Okay, so that's our example with complements. Okay, numbers and age of buyers. How about this for an example? If you watch television, obviously I watch way too much with my examples, always coming from television, but there's all sorts of products that are geared towards older people, such as Ensure. It's a supplemental drink for your diet. Okay? So this is our demand of Ensure. Now, what is happening to the average age of the population? It's going up, up, up. You know, you hear about these baby boomers. You know, the baby boomers are in their 50s, heading towards 60. And so the number of buyers that would buy Ensure is going up, up, up. And so guess what happens to the demand of Ensure? It goes up, up, up. Okay, so an increase in we've got an increase in the number of, let's just call them retirees. They may still be working, but we'll have it clear then that we're talking about older people. Increase the demand of Ensure. And realize there's a whole list of products that are advertised on television for this group. You have Ensure and other nutritional drinks. You have Depends, Depends underwear. That's targeted towards that group. You have Viagra and Cialis. Okay, primarily it is targeted towards older individuals. Well, why are they so interested in this? Why do we have to watch all these advertisements? Well, realize they're trying to attract this large group of buyers, these people that are age 50 and older. And so as the number of that age goes up, the demand for those products go up. Okay? So numbers and age of buyers affects demand. Expectations about the future. Okay? Let's do an example regarding future prices. If you go back to September 11th, 2001, the bombing of the World Trade Center, okay, a monumental event in our society. Okay, but if you want to analyze some of the economics of it, once we got over the thought of the devastation, and primarily once we got home from work that day around 5 o'clock, we'd all heard the news, we knew what had happened, and then we started hearing rumors about gasoline. And there were rumors about in Arkansas that gasoline was going for $10 a gallon. Okay, and so a lot of people, including myself, got worried that the price of gasoline was going to shoot way up any time now. And so let me tell you, I ate my dinner that night quickly. I got in my car and I went to the gas station and I bought gas. And once I bought gas in that car, I went home and got my other car and filled it up with gas. Now, as it turns out, gasoline was still the same as what it had been. It was like $2 a gallon, let's say. I think it was like $2.30 at that time. And the day before I would buy the amount shown in the black. That afternoon, after the bombing of the World Trade Center, I increased my demand for gasoline. And I know many of you did as well, or your parents did, because you were in front of me in line. There was very long lines that day. And so if we expect the price of gasoline to go up in the future, then we buy it today. And a similar thing just happened to me. I was at a gas station that was crowded looking, right? And so I became concerned. Okay, government taxes. Government taxes. Let's say the demand for products, and we're going to have an extra tax on them. So for example, let's say with our gasoline, If they're wanting us to conserve gasoline, what should we do? Well, we need to buy less. How can the government get us to buy less? Put a tax. And so if there's an increase in the tax of gasoline, then therefore there's going to be a decrease in the demand. Okay? The price has stayed the same, but the amount you're actually paying has changed. Okay, so these are the things that will shift your demand curve.